What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we are going to go over a lot of different stories in a short amount of time. We're going to talk about, of course, China planning to take Taiwan. We're going to talk about, of course, the bear, the brown bear. We're going to talk about the panda bear, and we're going to talk about the Pooh Bear and everything that they are planning. So we'll be right back right after this. We'll be right back. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfugglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right. What is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We have a lot planned for you today. If you are new here and you are shared my show from somebody else, which is mostly how we get out, again, remember, you can go over to marfugglenews.com. You can not only sign up for our alerts, but you can also look at every one of our sources for today. We make sure that if we show you a video, a tweet, a document, an article, anything that we are going to show you here today, we give you access for over on our website. Now, when you go there, you'll see it's very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. So when you see, it will be taken, speaking of Taiwan, sooner than you think. And then once you click on that, it will bring you to, of course, this page. This page will have every single article, tweet, video, picture, whatever we show you here. It will all be there for your fingertips to access. And then again, once you hit a yellow bar called web-only content, that is when it gets really hot. That is the too hot for TV web-only content section that has everything that we cannot cover here. Essentially the stuff that the Voltaire said that you can't speak of, right? So there is a whole lot there that is too far to one direction that is, obviously not coverable if you're going to stay as neutral as possible, which we do try to be as neutral as possible. I do give my opinions. I am a human being, so I am biased by nature, but I try not to push it on anybody else. We have everybody in our chat of all types and kinds and colors and creeds, and I hope it stays that way. So let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. How are you doing today, and what is going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
Welcome, Jake Albergati, just subscribed a few minutes ago. Yesterday, a ton of new people came over to this channel. I don't know why. Again, this channel has been marked several times. I don't know what the heck is going on right now. But thank you, everybody that has been sharing this out. That is the only way that this show gets really pushed. It used to be, 2 or 3 years ago, it would be recommended to new people, but now it is all word of mouth. So you should feel special because you essentially probably found out about this through somebody else, unless you're really old school. So let's go into it. Musk reveals new prediction for when man will reach Mars with Starship rockets. So one thing that I have pointed out, and this is my personal thoughts on it, I feel like they are trying to get off of Earth. I know that there are so many different arguments of what is really happening, but my thoughts are that something is massively wrong with what is going on behind and up above in the very top sheet, tiers of human beings, the people that run the planet. I feel like something is definitely off. And of course, all of the richest people, like we talked about last night, are investing in rockets. They're investing in getting off of Earth. They're investing in cryogenics. They are investing in all digital, mainframe kinds of entertainment. Essentially, think about this. If you were to be trapped in a small space for possibly years, what kind of technology would you need to get through that? Probably something like VR or something like what they are making with the Neuralink. Imagine if you were in cryogenic stasis or something and you had to keep your brain going and your body going or something. You could possibly do that with a Neuralink and, exercise equipment or something. That is something that sounds kind of crazy, but if you look at what Elon is saying that they are going to do by 2029, it doesn't seem too crazy. And it seems like they have picked up the pace. With this, conflict or whatever you want to call is happening with Cranium over there, and of course the brown bear, something is definitely happening, and it seems like they are picking up speed and trying to get off of Earth. It says Elon Musk expects to see another giant leap for mankind, not just in his lifetime, but in this decade. The SpaceX CEO tweeted that he predicts humans will touch down on the Mars in 2029. A SpaceX Starship, a 400-foot reusable rocket equipped with one of the most powerful engines ever built, will be the vessel that brings humans to the Red Planet. Since 2020, iterations of the Starship have completed 4 test launches and landings, reaching heights of over 10 kilometers on each trip. It says plans to take a crewed mission on a trip around the moon in the Starship are slated for 2023. The SpaceX site is dubbed the mission Dear Moon, and Japanese billionaire and space tourist Yusaku Maezawa will be among the first of the crew. The Starship vessel, being an asset of a private company, comes with a user guide so customers can find out if working with SpaceX is right for them. The guide explicitly states SpaceX was founded with the goal of making life multiplanetary. It says Musk told Business Insider that he expects a ticket for Starship ride to be as low as $1 million. That may seem high for most of us, but again, if it would be a permanent trip off of the planet, pretty insane. Which most people are laughing at and saying he'll never get the price down to that level if it's doing what he says it's doing, right? Depending on the destination. So that's also saying that may just be to get to the moon, which who knows in the future may have some sort of tourism, who knows? If it's not some sort of satellite with an alien species inside, right? It says currently a ride on SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket is roughly $62 million. Jeez. And then Musk's passion for interplanetary travel is long documented. It's a big part of his public relations appearance as a trailblazer. The billionaire came under fire for undermining renowned scientist Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot, a book about Earth as the only known planet that can harbor life and our need to cherish and protect it. Musk recited a portion of Pale Blue Dot while on the Lex Friedman podcast, but then concluded, quote, "This is not true. This is false. Mars." So essentially saying that this is not the only livable planet, that we can also live on Mars and terraform it and whatever else. If you looked on his Twitter for the longest time, it would actually show Mars. It showed 4 pictures as his banner. It would start out with Mars and then it slowly turned into Earth. The 4 pictures showed this kind of these stages of terraforming. Now, all of this just sounds like science fiction, but this is genuinely what the rich and the famous are working on. And when you see movies like Don't Look Up, it kind of makes you wonder if that's really what's going on. It says, while speaking with Lex Friedman, Musk said, "I wonder how many dead one-planet societies are out there in the cosmos. Probably a lot." It says Musk is guiding figure in seeing that humans aren't earthbound forever or even the rest of the decade. And one thing it says that it seems like Musk is genuinely concerned with prolonging the existence of humanity, and he views Mars as the key. So this is one thing that people have debated about for years now, since Musk has said all of this. And of course, there are different communities that even doubt that anything exists out there, and I get that. But one thing I will say is I do believe that they are trying to get off of this planet, and I do believe they believe that it's going to get very, very bad here, whether that be from a nuclear conflict, whether it be purposely, lessening the amount of people on this planet to try to restart it or something, saying that, because they're being told that we are ruining the planet. Who knows? Remember, even the very richest people in this world are being told false things. I am very sure of it. So think about that when you're thinking about these things. And then with asteroids, another, swift tunnel we just talked about yesterday, a 16-mile wide, asteroid that they say has been discovered since 1862, and it's actually one of the most dangerous ones out there. It's, I believe, twice as fast or 4 times as fast as the one in Chicxulub. It's bigger, that took out all the dinosaurs. Dex, what do you think as far as we've seen them speed up, especially even right before CV, and then as CV went down, they continued, they worked all the way through it, and then as the conflict, this crazy thing that's happening with all of the theater that's going on over with the Bear and Cranium, we've actually seen them speed up production.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things that's happened to the space programs is the commercialization. And when I say that, and the reason I say that is because you take a company or an investor like Elon who builds SpaceX, or even Bezos and the others that are all doing sort of the same thing, just maybe not with the same or the results that Elon has gotten so quickly. But you see them take something that is really expensive, really difficult. Of course, they spend lot of money to do it, to get going, but what they end up doing as a business, which most companies do, is they improve that over time, right? And they bring the cost down, they figure out the economies of scale, and like he said, he's going to get it down to $1 million a trip instead of 62 million. Or I'm sure they're probably losing money right now with every launch, but with every launch they're getting closer to cutting that cost and cutting that cost and cutting that cost. Whereas when you look at the government and a government agency like NASA, and you thought about, okay, well, they're going to build a space program, and I'm going to expect them to save money over the long term. Well, no. What they do is spend more and more and more and more. It just, everything they do just gets more expensive. So, this is really an opportunistic time for space exploration, in the sense that we have this opportunity. It's no longer just held by the government. We've got companies that can innovate, and for whatever reason they're doing it, whether it's they need to get off the planet, they know something we don't know, but the fact is that it's inevitable that this type of travel is going to evolve. And allegedly we went to the moon back in the 60s, but we haven't done much since then. So now all of a sudden we're making great strides, at least on the commercial side of it, towards getting up and down from space much faster, with reusable components, with lowering costs, et cetera. So I think it is kind of a, if you're into the space realm and you're into, the space exploration, it's actually a very interesting time to be in, watching how this is evolving right now.
Hypothetically, if comment in the chat, and I'm sorry, it's already gone. It was been 3 or 4 minutes, so I forgot who just said that, but very good comment. So Musk is saying by 2029 we will have the first man on Mars, right? And at that same time, what he has said previously is by the time they start going, that they are going to try to rapidly get everybody off, right? They're trying to get, they want to get it to the point where they can be sending them every week and be doing these constant trips. And it's by how, when Mars comes around, or it's at its closest, and then they figure it out a different way where they can essentially go in front of it and then have it catch up, where it spins around and they're going in front of it. They say that, right? Well, somebody made a comment saying Apophis is supposed to make a fly around. And of course, we've heard at first people were all scared. And for a year, people were talking about Apophis hitting in 2029 or 2036. And then all of a sudden they said, oh no, they've redone the numbers and it's not going to hit. But essentially, even if you go by these apps and some of the people that I know that are in this niche that follow these apps, they say absolutely not. You can see clearly in the numbers that it's this. Well, could they fudge the numbers? Could they change the numbers? Theoretically, could they not, use their high? Because we're going off of these high-powered telescopes, none of us, including anybody who's here on the platform, has a $10 million telescope, so they could be changing the numbers, or they could make the numbers where it doesn't hit. Just hypothetically, what if the apophis was the end of the planet? Apophis hits in 2029, and that is why Elon Musk is trying to get the heck out of here. And maybe he's recruiting all these other, billionaires. Why did Jeff Bezos all of a sudden put all of his, own money into this Blue Origin? Why did what's-his-face do the Virgin Mobile? Why did he put his stuff in there? Branson. Why are they all doing these rocket trips, right? I don't know. I feel like my gut is telling me that something is really, really horribly wrong. And if you look, the world is just going to crap. I mean, it's just absolutely falling apart. And Ganda is everywhere. They are putting out so much just information of all kinds, fake and real, that it's just unbelievable. But when you look at what the actual missions and everything that's happening that they don't talk about, it's pretty easy to point to one direction. It's like they believe that we are not going to have a place for us to be. At the very least, they would tell us that and then ship us all to one state or something and stack us in buildings super high and say, hey, if we don't do this, the world's going to end, right? But yeah, Asteroid 9992, which, by the way, a lot of people comment that it's 666 upside down, and then 4 + 2, 6 again. Right, Apophis is a near-Earth asteroid that more than 1,000 feet, over 300 meters, in size, that will harmlessly, just like they put negative connotations. If they don't want you to panic, they always they overly tell you there's no chance of hitting to Earth on April 13th, 2029. When it was discovered in 2004, the asteroid caused a stir because initial calculations, this is what I'm talking about, indicated a small possibility it would impact Earth on 2029. After searching through some old astronomical images, scientists ruled out the possibility of a 2029 impact. So basically, they looked through the old books and they're, no, it's actually going this direction. So they were telling you that the numbers that actually were found did show it hitting, but then they said, we found some old images and it shows it in a different direction, and no, it's not going to hit anymore because now we have the trajectory and it's correct. Okay. Look at how many missions they've done for anti-asteroid. When you watch the Don't Look Up, it has made fun of it so much that if somebody suggests this, they go, Don't Look Up, haha, and they think it's a big joke. But before Don't Look Up, again, I've been saying this for years, it looks like they're preparing for some sort of asteroid event. Look at what they are actually drilling for, and they don't make it a huge big deal. The FEMA evacuation of New York, right? New York, by the way, has a bigger GDP than the entire country of Russia. So it makes sense that would be the first place they would drill to try to save people or companies or whatever is there, right? Hammer, hypervelocity asteroid mitigation response vehicle. It's a nuke on a missile. You have DART, double asteroid redirection test. They're trying to hit it in an impactor and get it to either veer off or change its course. Is that practice for something else? Is that practice for Apophis? You have Hayabusa, where they tried to land on it and then they lit off an explosion on the actual asteroid. And then there was OSIRIS-REx. These are all missions regarding these asteroids. And then they are also talking about how they're worth millions and trillions of dollars. This all happened in the last couple of years. And it's like, why is Don't Look Up so silly? They went, I think they almost purposely did that. So now anybody that actually talks about it is looked at like a cuckoo. Look at what happened with Sunspot Solar Observatory. I still think it's weird. Do you guys think it's weird? Am I crazy for thinking that? By the way, thank you, mods. Remember, everybody in the chat is part of this. So remember, if there are people that come in that are just angry or dealing whatever, try to be nice to them and don't call them trolls unless it's like just way over the top and repetitive. Because those people might not know how it works here. Just try to push them up. Be nice, and I'm telling you, it does flip people over from being angry to like, hey, okay, I came over here angry and I left happy. Everybody's got to play a part. Once you call somebody something, then they get defensive, and then they'll never pay attention. Then they're just doing it out of spite. So, what do you guys think about this? I'll go over to the chat here real quick. And by the way, thank you everybody over on DLive. Brett Adams, Brightside, no more taxes. Yeah, if we get hit. Sean Samuels, you are not crazy, Animal. You are not crazy, Adam. You are a really nice person. Well, thank you, Nans. And then Kathleen McCarthy, what's going on from Missouri? And then we've got Blake Lee, Pariah the Boneless, Lucky Zevin Nico, Fulfill a Film. What was that? Fifi Film Productions. Nobody is going to Mars. Again, you may be right. What do you think they are actually going to do, though? So do you think that they're going to fly over and then make a base in Antarctica and then, basically make us all sit here and they'll put us all in mega cities and meanwhile they'll have new land in New Zealand or something? Maybe there will be an event that wipes out a country like, Australia or something, but in reality it's just cut off from the rest of the world. It's something out of sci-fi where only the rich live there, and then the rest of the people will be put into mega city centers. Who knows? Fatty Deb says nobody is going above the firmament. Again, you never know. You never know. What if they find a way to do it? You would think we could do a whole lot more than we could do in 1960. I know why people doubt it in 1960. Like I said the other day, the moon lander, the actual thing that they say landed on the moon, had a computer that is not as powerful as the chips that are in the birthday cards that sing happy birthday to you. Definitely, if you look at the Raspberry Pi, just a little chip computer that you can put in anything now, that is more powerful than all of what NASA had. So, you never know. And then, do not give up, says trolls need love too. Don't call them trolls. I would say we should just get rid of that word. I would say that they're pissed off or they disagree. What I don't get is if you do disagree, why come in and call everybody idiots? That's what I haven't gotten. One of my mods, in fact now two of my mods, both believe in the total opposite of I do, of the shape of everything, right? But they are not rude about it. They actually make videos about how they think and what their basically what their information is. They teach. I just commented to somebody below, and they said something. You're wrong. This has been disproven long ago about something regarding that, right? And I'm like, well, why would you just say that? Why don't you post where I'm supposed to look, post information, post a rabbit hole for me to go down. Instead of just saying I'm wrong, show me why I'm wrong. Again, I'm open-minded, and I don't put anybody else down if they, totally disagree with me and believe something totally different. I do believe in space. I mean, I do. So, if you can convince me otherwise, it's kind of like, what is it called? With Crowder, convince me and I will listen. I'm open-minded. Chance Paladin, Paul, what's going on? Why got to Mars when no matter where you go, there you are? I own the Mercer one, says Rapture Girl now. And then Shadow Rider, we all have different ways to look at the world. Doesn't mean you're a troll. Exactly. Also, you can come in and have a totally different belief and get along. Space Case, Bumpity, what's going on? Paul's for sure. Daryl Calhoun, what's going on? Shastina, nice to see you here. Do not give up. And Serenity PA, everybody's here. So thank you, everybody, for posting in. All right, so what do you think about that? Let me know in the comments down below. And then smart devices are watching you everywhere, violating your privacy. Computer scientists warn. Well, it's like more of a... It's like the article that nobody needed to really see, right? Because guess what? We all knew this. It says, do you ever get the creepy feeling you're being watched? According to two computer scientists, you're probably right. Only it's not someone watching you, it's something. And that thing is smart technology. In a paper by University of Maryland, Baltimore County's Roberto Yus and Penn State's Primal Papachan, is that his name? is Primal Papa Chan. I think the guy's definitely wins the coolest name. Primal Papa Chan. The team warns that billions of digital devices are scanning and sensing your movements every day. Some of them are sitting right in front of you, inside televisions, cars, offices, and even a refrigerator. In 2007, few people could have imagined the countless apps which society now uses on their smartphone each day. However, Yus and Papa Chan say that this technological revolution has come with a high price to our privacy, as internet connectivity now reaches people in more places than ever before. It says for all these smart devices to do their job, they need a connection to the internet so they can correlate all the data that they're gathering on you. For example, a smart thermostat in your house spends its days collecting information on you and your preferences. However, without an internet connection to see a weather forecast, the thermostat can't decide how to properly set the temperature in your home. It says this is just the tip of the iceberg, though, as the researchers say devices which gather data on everything people do are infiltrating our workspaces, malls, and cities. Think about this. They have, in different places, they have facial recognition everywhere you go now. And I don't think people realize how much of it is actually being installed. Now, when you go through any of the modern day kind of surveillance companies, they offer a facial recognition thing. People may have seen it in Fred Meyer's and in Walmart's. You'll look up at the camera and it will say, smile, you're on camera. But not only that, it will box your face off. It actually shows you that it's tracking your face. And especially even with the coverings that we've been wearing, they actually got so good that they could tell who it was without seeing the whole half of their face. So this is getting like scary technology. It says, in fact, the Internet of Things is already widely used in transport and logistics, agriculture and farming, and industry automation. There are around 22 billion Internet-connected devices in and around the world in 2018, and the number is projected to grow over 50 billion by 2030. The team explains in that article. So, and then down here, I want to point out, it says manufacturers typically promise that only automated decision-making systems and not humans see your data, but this isn't always the case. For example, Amazon workers listen to some of the conversations with Alexa, transcribe them, and annotate them before feeding them into the automated decision-making systems. Even if you limit the amount of data and access your devices handle, the researchers say that the connection to the internet can still leave you vulnerable. Any private data shared over the internet can become target of hackers. So when you are telling somebody, say you are sending somebody to the store with your debit card and you're telling them, I think most people have either, sent a family member and said, hey, here's my card, just go do it. Oh, the code is this. And they tell them, and then they go, well, and now you've got Alexa and Google and all of these different platforms listening to your every word. And then, of course, you've got baby monitors. You've got smart objects. You've got smart cameras. Everyone has Ring cameras now. And by the way, we called it Ring cameras put in a device patent for facial recognition. Now we absolutely know without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, that Ring and all of these other camera companies are not only going to be working with the police stations, but they're also doing facial recognition. So imagine you get a Ring camera for your front doorbell, and then all of a sudden somebody walks by that has a warrant. All of a sudden your camera, which you unknowingly, you're at work, has now reported somebody or reported a family member because they have a bench warrant to the police department, and they are at your house right now. That is what is happening, and we called it before they ever mentioned facial recognition because of those patents. So what do the next patents show? The next patents show that it's going to get so invasive that you will not be able to walk outside your front door without somebody tracking your every single move. They are designing a system that will literally track you between the 5th generation, between Li-Fi, which is not Wi-Fi. It's faster than Wi-Fi. It is actually from LED. It's light emitting, basically a Wi-Fi from the lights. So you will have street lights that are actually providing internet, but also tracking where and what is tracking it. So your phone is grabbing internet from the street lights. It's also giving off your triangulated position to an exact T. The government will be able to track you. It doesn't matter from the second you leave your house to wherever you go, no matter where you are. So it's almost like, privacy is a thing of the past, and people are just letting it happen. Dex, do you agree, or am I crazy?
No, you're spot on. I mean, and that's the whole purpose of the expansions of these networks, is to be able to expand, how many devices that can proliferate all around us. And it just seems like every day you turn around, there's a new device that now connects to your Wi-Fi or does something else for you. At first it was novel that your air conditioning system could be on the internet, but now, you can buy a microwave and it's on the internet. You can buy anything and just about find a Wi-Fi version of it, or some sort of connected device. So, rather interesting fact, a little geeking out here, but we used to have these IP addresses called IPv4, which now they've gone to IPv6 because there's not enough addresses for all of the devices they expect to have in the future. So we're slowly migrating from this one version of IP addresses to a different version, because there's going to be just so many more connected devices online.
And we're talking about, it's going to get to the point where it's not even just tracking the signal. You're not going to be a blip. You are going to be an exact shape with your everything that you are. I mean, you're down to, they will see, like the Batman movie where they show him use every cell phone to actually basically look at everywhere and everything. It's like that, only it will be in high definition. It will be in color. So just think about that. And somebody said, whatever happened to the military guys that said that something would hit the moon? Well, by the way, so that item hit the moon. And one thing I have not talked about yet, so the day that it was March 4th. It was also rumored the day that Russia would go into some sort of law. And that day, it did hit the moon. And they said it hit the moon at about 5,500 miles per hour. It hit the far side of the moon, so nobody could monitor it. Nobody could see it hitting the moon. We still don't know what it was. If it was a Chinese rocket, if it was SpaceX, if it was something else. So one thing that I have to say is, if there is something out there, what if that was something else? What if somebody just landed on the far side? Just a thought. Hypothetically, what if some other creatures in a ship, or what if what if that was the first load and something is about to happen? Now, one thing I think about is that I still think about that TikTok video of the young girl. She's a Norwegian girl, and it's got like 2.5. It's now at 3 million views or something like that. And she says, it shows her covered up in an airport, and it says, every expert in Norway saying we don't have to worry about the conflict. And then it pans over to her two parents, who look well-to-do, well-dressed REI models, straight out of a magazine, and they look well-to-do. And it says, my parents, my divorced parents, meeting up on 2 days' notice, and we're flying to Africa. What she is implying is that they found out something, and within 2 days, they were flying to Africa from Norway. And it's because of the conflict. So did they actually predict something? Do they know that something is going to pop off in the next couple weeks? I guess we will see. But like with the moon thing, it's like when this stuff does happen, I guarantee you most people will not know until way, way later. We don't know what hit that moon. But I wonder, with everything that I have seen in the last few years, I wonder if something's about to pop off, and that may have been some sort of first load of something or something. I don't know. And then we have Solar Storm Parade. We did a video over on Marfoogle News, which we had wages on this morning. If you haven't seen that, make sure to go over and watch it. Again, lots of really great people showed up. By the way, Vicky K, thank you for the support. Lead Dispenser, you're crazy. Thank you, Lead. I appreciate that. End Times, much love, Adam and Dex. And your mods booted me from YT. T-Man Red Pill, make sure that you understand that some of that is YT, not us. But if they did, it probably was from repeated violations there. So T-Man Red Pill, please email me and tell me what happened. And then we have End Times. What is going on, man? It's nice to see you again. Captain Pat, Island by the Sea, Saudi Crypto or Nothing. And then Jacktronics and Stormblade X69, thank you for gifting out a badge to Welly Wellington. And then Skyhouse, thanks. Casper Sparks, Jack, appreciate you. And Steve, thank you. Release the Quacken. Everybody that just flooded in there, thank you guys. And then, so we talked about this with wages, and essentially what has been happening is there's been waves of these. Now we've had like 3 or 4 now in just the last week. And as one is hitting the CME, which takes a few days, the other one, the next one is hitting. So the initial kind of waves hit after 8 or 9 minutes, and then the CME happens later. Well, what was happening is that the initial wave was hitting, and then the CME would come a couple days later. As the CME is about to reach us, then another one happened, and that has happened like now 2 or 3 times since this new cycle has hit. So what he calls it is a double tap, and what we're really worried about is this solar cycle getting even crazier. That's what that guy commented. He said, you can have solar flares without a solar system. And I'm like, how does that work? If there's something that you want to teach me, give me some sources. Give me something that I can go look up and be on your level. Hayes House, because by the way, I don't know everything. What I do know is that we are good at putting people together, and everybody that's here, when we are listening to somebody, we try to make sure that we are listening to multiple people saying the same thing, and it's not coming from a YouTube video. So we had over 500 active and retired military when we had the Discord open, and when we get information, we're making sure that it's not, just coming from another YouTuber saying he heard from a guy. We make sure that it's actual people saying it. We vet the messages we get. So that is one good thing that we do offer that is separate from everybody else. By looking at the patterns of the news and by what mainstream is saying, you can tell what is about to happen next. And it seems like there's a massive event happening. As far as the solar storm, we've looked into this, and anybody that follows our show knows that Solar Cycle 25 is most likely going to be one of the most insane cycles we've had. Dex, this is scary stuff when we're talking about a possible event that would knock out pretty much everything on Earth, and especially after what we were just talking about with the internet and the Internet of Things. Why would you put everything on there when there's a potential for it all to be knocked off?
Well, yeah, I guess that is one way to look at it and say, there's a risk in putting things online, and there's a risk in doing it, but there's also a reward too. But the whole notion of the solar flares, this is a big deal, right? They're happening, or the CMEs more specifically are probably much more detrimental to our electronics. But like, I think Wages put it really well when he talked about the 1-2 punch, right? Like you get hit once, and then you're stumbling back, or you're trying to get on your knees and you get hit again, right? And if these things keep coming back to back on our planet, the additional ones actually can create more damage than they normally would. In other words, we would, a G1 or a G2 might feel like a G3 or a G4, right? It could feel like a lot more because our magnetosphere just gets messed up. So, and it takes a little time for that to recover. So this is, it's a very different time. Like, I don't know the last time I recall hearing, we hear about CMEs all the time, but we don't hear about back to back CMEs, right? It's just, that's kind of new to me. Personally, I just can't recall a time we've seen it this many. And it seems like there's probably no stop, in the sense that things have heated up. Things are going to continue. We're going into a phase where the sun is going to be extremely active, and a lot of this activity is pointed right, towards us. So that's it's definitely something we need to be prepared for. We need to watch for and be smart about.
And by the way, I've been covering this for 4 years. You've been with me for over 2. I don't think we've ever covered 3. I don't think we've ever covered. And I don't think we've ever covered this many in a row like that. If you think about it, we have covered them a month apart or 2 months apart, but we're talking about days. And
yeah, we were excited when 2 were in 1 month. I was like, oh wow, there was 2 in a month. Yeah. So to see this was all in like a week.
Yeah, that's not, this is why preppers prep. They're paying attention to all of this. There's so many different things coming at us from different ways. I mean, the odds of something big happening are big. The point is not to fear. I hate when people say fear, fear, fear. By the way, somebody made a comment about fear, 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 something about EMP devices. Oh, you don't need EMP devices if you believe in God. First of all, I am Christian, but we're not talking about the rapture here. We're talking about a human-made. We're not talking about the end of civilization and rapture. We're talking about one country doing something crappy to another country, or we're talking about something that happens every 150 years. We know we will have a CME. In fact, we know we will have a Carrington level CME. So I do believe in God, and I'm not afraid. Nobody should be afraid. The whole point of this is so you get out ahead of things. In fact, if you're ahead of things, you're not afraid. Who here is like shaking and scared? I think the only people that really are the people that are being crappy, because if you understand that this isn't a world-ending event, it would be us losing our grid, and if you have protection against that, you could actually have a relatively okay life. A CME is not going to end us. An EMP is not going to take our lives. What's going to take our lives is not being prepared for it. I mean, it's kind of like we might be a little bit affected because they said when it's a massive one, we are electricity. So we don't know how it will actually respond to us. But most say we won't actually have any real bad effects. Maybe we'll feel weird, or I don't know. But I know that pretty sure we won't die, right? But as far as being able to be prepped for that is something that I think is common sense. We're not talking about the rapture here. We're talking about a massive event that will screw all of us for many, many, many months. If they knock out all of this, some say, okay, so why are they building up the 5th generation of stuff? Why are they doing all of this if it's all going to be knocked out, or if somebody's going to do an EP, or if the plan is to do this? Understand that the very top tier of people, they are protected. The government is protected. The military is protected. So why aren't we? That's what I don't understand. It's the only people that are really going to suffer are the poor and the civilians and the middle class people. The people in the upper elites, they have already made plans for this. They already have everything set up. Think about how the business is going for Atlas Survival. That guy is making bunkers like crazy, and not even just bunkers, above ground houses that are EMP proofed and all sorts of things. So with this happening, that's why we started working with EMP Shield. We knew years ago that this was going to get bad. We knew the prediction. I mean, the predictions have been there for a long time. Now people are going to talk about it, and watch. You guys are going to hear mainstream and everything else talk about it later. People always say, oh, all we talk about is mainstream. No, mainstream talks about what we talked about a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We've talked about, the Big Bear and Cranium for now 3 years, 4 years, and we saw it. Just like, why do you think that, Oliver did that movie On Fire, right? Cranium, On Fire. Why do you think he did that? Well, because people saw it way before. People saw what was going to happen. So before we get to Marine, F-35s fight F-17 aggressors trained for a very long-range combat and huge West Coast exercise. I do want to remind you, you can protect yourself against this stuff. That's why we partnered with EMP. We partnered with EMP before they were contracted. Again, they were pulled up by the T-Man administration, by the DOD, DHS, and other agencies. Again, they have sold their products to those agencies. They are not that agency, but they were able to sell their product under a contract for T-Man. And again, that's how they are preparing. And by they, I mean the U.S. government, the U.S. military. They are getting themselves ready. Why are we? This company is all American made. It's all American owned. It's a veteran owned business. And it's, again, made by hand Each one of these devices can actually protect you against all 3 phases of an EMP. It can protect you against lightning, and it can also protect you against a Carrington level event. So if you want your car to run after an EMP or a CME, put this on it. If you want your generator to run after a CME or EMP, get this on it. If you want your house and all of your appliances to run after that and have your generator power all of that, then make sure to wire in your house. They make one for your ham radio, your boats, your motorcycles. If you have a getaway plan with 6 motorcycles, you definitely might want to protect them. Again, if you have an older vehicle that is going to be knocked out by this, make sure to go check this out. marfugglenews.com/EMP. This not only supports the channel, but it also gets you a $50 discount per device. And most people need at least 2. So that's $100 off right there. Thank you, everybody that has gone over previously. You guys know that this is a family-owned company. The people, they actually treat every customer like family. Like it's like an Italian restaurant, only way cooler because they actually can save your life. All right, Dex, let's talk about the Marine F-35 S's. And by the way, in a minute here, we're going to go over how an American citizen was supposedly taken out by a long in cranium by, they said, the Big Bear, right? So that would be an act of conflict that could start WW3. Is that what they're going for there? I don't know, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Dex.
Yeah, so apparently we have yet another, and we have these all the time, but we like to cover them. We like to make sure people are well aware of what's happening. But the exercise, I guess is the right way to call this one, is a huge exercise, and with their training and some more training that we've got going on. And this particular one looks like it's mostly in the air with some of our specific planes that are going up.
They're practicing on the West Coast. It says Marine leaders are very aware that the future conflict with China would be extremely difficult due to the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Any confrontation could demand the ability to hop from island to island in order to disrupt the military's ability to defend their own territorial claims. So why I labeled this sooner than you think is from somebody that I have talked to for years now, and somebody who has always led me right. The same person that gave me information that literally made me go viral because I called it 5 or 6 days before it happened. That same person said that the invasion of Taiwan is going to happen a lot sooner than you think, and they're preparing right now for it. This is another sign of that. The direct quote is that they are basically, this is all lining up. Taiwan, the one thing about this is it would split our military if they do it well. We are currently dealing with the whole Ukraine situation as well. By the way, all of this seems like it is planned from both sides. So there's some very disturbing information out there as far as when you look at what is going on. I would not believe anything out of the mainstream right now, and I would highly recommend you to look at both sides of the story, and you might have to go outside your way to go look at it. In fact, when somebody bans you from listening to somebody else, that's usually not a good sign. So just make sure you understand that there's multiple players in this, but this country has a big part of all of this. So hopefully we do not have to salute a different flag at some point. This exercise is going over and essentially preparing for something to be going off on the West Coast. We've had drills like this before, as Dex said. Any of these drills can turn into a real event. I do want to shout out a few people. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry it took so long. Charles Woods, thank you for the multiple super stickers there. Irish Rebel says, Prepper supplies are drying up fast. Some of my suppliers are out of many items. Irish, so I just heard that the night vision goggles are now in a backlog again. And eminent domain is potentially going to be used or has been used, and a lot of these prep suppliers are not getting their stuff. So Just a heads up on that. Irish Rebel, I believe you're right. And then, let's see. Lucky 7 Nico, sorry for saying your name wrong, says, thanks for everything you do, Adam, Dex, and Mods. I always listen to the replays during work as a podcast. Remember to share. Love the Foogle fam. Thank you, and thank you for saying that there so I can remind myself to say it. Charles Woods, thank you. I'm ready for whatever because of what you do. Head on a swivel. Thank you. And then Lucky 7 Nico, I hope you and your coworkers are doing awesome right now. And then Jacob Israel, what is going on, man? Keep up the amazing work. We love you and Dex. You got to have you back on the show. Again, love to, if you guys haven't checked out Jacob Israel, he's an awesome guy. We talk on a regular basis just as friends, like totally separate from YouTube. So he's just a good guy, somebody you can actually call when you're stressed out. Space is the new Tower of Babel in modern times. And then Justin True, hey, I was thinking of you when I was speaking earlier. That's funny. If anything stirs up an emotional response, pay attention to it. Analyze anything that is trying to control your emotions. Who is writing or saying it? What could they gain? Discern everything. Aloha. Just as I said, when they say the brutal, disgusting tactics, this and this and that, you have to understand that's trying to grab you. When it says that this, when they use those key words that are emotional key words, harmlessly, this and that, when they're trying to lead you, just realize when the articles are leading you. Stephen McMahon, to all the turkeys, La Fahel, Padreg, Sona Duet, Aaron Gobrag. Don't know what that means, but awesome. And whatever happened to the military guy that came out of YouTube and said something was going to hit us, and then 2 military guys broke in and then YouTube went down. So NS909, actually, he said that the moon was in danger. And he said that that the moon was going to be hit and not Earth. So, and without the moon, we are in big trouble. So think about that. Even if an asteroid hit the moon and destroyed the moon, we would be in trouble because it would screw up everything on the planet. There would be massive floods all over the planet. And then think about mainstream telling us that mainstream science saying that in 2030 we're going to have massive flooding and catastrophic flooding. Think about that too. I just remembered that. So in 2029 he'll be off on Mars. In 2030, actual mainstream science is saying because of the wobble of the moon, this is what they say, that we will have catastrophic flooding on Earth. Dex, am I quoting something wrong there? Do you remember that?
No, you're not. They talked specifically about that the wobble could create massive flooding.
Now, is it wobbling because of the science they quoted, or is it going to wobble because it's going to get hit by something and it's going to throw it off and cause tidal waves and tsunamis all over the planet? Don't know. Little bit late tonight, but all I do is put my fear with God. Love your show. Keep up the amazing work. Amanda Johnson, thank you. Carol McLean, you've made a difference in my life. You and Dex are terrific. Thank you. And then Captain Pollywog Vanderbeef says, wasn't sure about you, your channel initially. Got to say, you both run a great show. Also, bless you positively. Captain Pollywog, that means a lot because a lot of people come over. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like me or Dex. You can also like the people in the chat. There's a lot of people that find friends here. If you don't come in here angry and at least give it a chance, you might actually find people that like the same things you do, especially if you're in the position where you can't talk to people in real life. You can't talk to your coworkers, your family are on a totally different page. Then this is a good place to go. I mean, I've met a lot of people I can actually talk about my thoughts with that I don't have to be concerned about them judging me. And then the Panda Bear planned Taiwan invasion in fall, alleged Russian intel leak claims. So we have lots of Ganda going around. It says that Taiwan's top diplomat said that he couldn't speak on the authenticity of the purported Russian intelligence document that claimed that the Panda Bear president, Pooh Bear, had plans to annex the nation this fall. Now, Dex, they're saying this fall, as in later this year.
Yes.
This is why I think it's going to be sooner than we think, because the timing of it, I believe it will probably be in the next 3 or 4 months before fall, maybe in summer. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I don't know that, where we don't know exactly where this is coming from, but obviously it's obviously leaked intel, but um, we all know that the writing is on the wall for Taiwan, right? Like China has said it for the last 2 years, a lot publicly and a lot in the last, 6 months. They certainly haven't talked a lot about it in the beginning of the year during the Olympic period. And during the Chinese New Year, but then since that ended, they've started to bring the rhetoric back up. And I guess everybody's sort of waiting to see where they're going to line up with the bear and what's going on with cranium, right? And some people said they're picking one side or they're not, or they're staying neutral, but we'll have to find out, right? I think that it is inevitable that there's going to be some sort of aggression or intention to take over, because they've said they're going to do it, right? So we just need to figure out when that is ultimately. And is it this fall? I mean, that's pretty soon. And at the same time, it's also potentially in alignment with while we're distracted with other things that are going on.
Now, just a reminder, all of the things that the panda bear has done in the last few years, they are now the largest navy in the world. And there's a lot of new people in the audience and probably people that have not followed us for years, but we covered all of these things as they were happening. Now, it says U.S. Department of Defense recently reported that Panda Bear here currently has the largest navy in the world. It says, aren't you concerned about which countries are behind the dragon? I guess we could call them the dragon too. By the way, it's ratcheting up. We can tell that certain key words there are getting just boxed up. And we have lost a few friends here on the platform. So rest in peace, and hopefully they get revived. But again, we are going into also the season of dropping things in the box. People get knocked off left and right. So thank you guys for being patient. If somebody doesn't understand what I just said, please help for anybody that's been with us for this roller coaster ride of now 4 years. So make sure to explain that to newbies. So with this, look at everything they've done. It's beyond writing on the wall. It's like they have done everything they possibly can to prepare for this, including back in August, writing a piece essentially saying that we are the enemy, that we created what happened over the last 2 years, that we did it at a Otori in Fort Detrick, that we are the absolute adversary, that we need to be taken down a notch. They told the entire country that through every one of their mouthpieces. They have banned essentially anything feminine, any kind of masculine femininity in their whole country. Entertainment-wise, they have taken down any kind of person that people idolize. They will not let any kind of idolization other than idolizing the country go in their country now. Any celebrity or super billionaire that they have that was created since 1979 when they started doing capitalism, they are now pulling them back down because they are going into conflict mode. They are going into the mode where they want, it's the regime or nothing. They are pumping out wartime messages. They are literally preparing their people for a massive conflict. They are preparing their vehicles. They are actually preparing even their civilian ferries, which for the last few years they have made them with military specs in mind. So when you build a civilian ferry that's just supposed to take people across the water, it has to have a ramp that can hold tanks. That's a law they put in because they are preparing to not only take Taiwan, it's going to be much bigger than Taiwan. I tell you that. That's my opinion. What's yours? Tassie Devil says moon wobble is a lie. Ozone layer is gone. So they just said our ozone is gone. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised by that. So as far as like we just get burnt to a crisp, that everything's about to go to crap. And then look at how they are really crazy. If you if just hypothetically, let's say we believe everything that's happening right now, or not right now, but with the planet, and that we believe that they are running out of natural resources in the next 30 years. In fact, some say in the next 20, possibly 15 years. I have noticed that multiple companies have removed plastic from their packaging, and I'm talking about all plastic. Even vintage Star Wars. Everybody who knows Star Wars probably knows what a carded vintage Star Wars figure is. For as long as they've been made, they have had a plastic little kind of cup, a dome with the little figure inside. That is even changing. How are you going to make a vintage figure that doesn't look like the vintage figure? They're going to make them in cardboard boxes. My point is, they are massively, across gigantic companies, going to get rid of everything plastic. Are they doing that because it's good for the environment, or are they doing that because we may have a problem even getting it or having it in a few years here? What is the real story? Nate D, thank you for subscribing. And then Christina Martiocchio, I believe that. Marto Occhio, thank you so much for your support. And Tico and Taco, appreciate seeing you guys. From Australia, Tassie Devil, thank you so much for supporting. Crazy, crazy stuff. And then we have President B to speak with, of course, with Pooh Bear Friday in a bid to keep pressuring President Putin. It says that President JB will speak Friday with the President Pooh Bear of the Panda Bear country as the U.S. leader looks to shore up global pressure on the brown bear to halt its cranium. It says that this is part of our ongoing efforts to maintain open lines of communications, White House Press Secretary Jen said. So they are actually meeting with them and soon. So I wonder what will happen out of this meeting. Dex, do you have any predictions you want to put on the record?
Well, I have a sneaking suspicion that it's not going to go the way we want it. Although I don't know what what kind of arm twisting we have, what kind of leverage we have specifically in mind. I don't know how strong our administration is with that type of tactic. You would think that what they did to the other country, the other bear country, that they were doing something very significant, but it hasn't seemed to make much of a difference yet. So I don't know if there's enough leverage for us to get what we want out of the poo, but we'll have to see, right? My prediction is they're not going to go our way. My prediction is it's not going to be a pretty conversation. It may be long, or it may. I hope they don't hang up the phone like others have done.
Yeah, like Saudis, right? So we'll see what happens with this. Maybe it's calling them to say, hey, can we have lunch and you can come over to my house and we'll play checkers and we'll just hang out.
Maybe they just want to test the hotline between Millie and them, right?
Yeah, we'll take a bath. We'll take a bath together. I could see, the pictures we all probably had as a kid that now are like, all of us as kids. I want to see a meme with like Xi, Putin, and President B in a bathtub as kids. I bet they would be good childhood friends. They are just absolute chummies. And then Mark Milley will be the photographer. And then before we talk about Lavrov's plane turns around during a flight heads back to Moscow. We don't know exactly what is happening here, but it says that Senior Strategic Analyst General Jack Keane on report the invasion of Cranium stopped China's invasion plan for Taiwan. That's, of course, what's being said. It says Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov was allegedly on a flight headed to Beijing Thursday, but the plane turned around midway and flew back to Moscow, according to the German newspaper Bild. The plane allegedly turned around well over Novosibirsk, a city in Siberia, according to Bild. News Digital has been unable to independently verify the outlet's report. It is unclear if refused to meet with the official or if President Vladimir called him back to Russia. So do we know that it is something about to happen? Is that why they turned around? Remember, the only other time that I remember something kind of weird like this is when Pence was heading somewhere, and there was all of a sudden that meeting where Europe had its Cobra meeting. The U.S. had its emergency meeting of the Department of Defense. President T-Man, we checked that day. His entire schedule was cleared. Who else? It was there was another country. Russia had their Ministry of Defense meet all of a sudden. It was around the submarine accident, right? Wasn't that the same time? It sounds like something happened.
You know, that is a good observation. I think, you know, that either that is part of it. It could be something that happened and he had to come back. Or the other thing I was thinking is, if, you know, he's on his way to meet, maybe he's on his way to meet to, you know, to help get, you know, further assistance or approval. And maybe they just came around and said, don't worry, we got you covered. And he's like, all right, I'm going back to get to work. Right. You know, that's one thought that came to my mind, is that, you know, maybe there wasn't a need anymore. He was really going to help pressure and drive support with that country to help them, right?
I don't know. I think that there's something sneaky going on, or there may have been an event that we don't know about. Specifically for Lavrov to turn around midway, and I'm sure people were following that on Flight Radar saying, what the hell is going on with this? Why did he turn around? Does anybody have any theories? Again, I will actually turn on this for a minute, because if anybody has a theory of why this happened or was watching Flight Radar, I know that we have hundreds in our audience that actually follow Flight Radar like 24/7. So I would love to hear any of the theories there. And then Hope Grace, thank you for subscribing. Global News Conflicts, thank you. Overwatch, and then Hayes House, thank you everybody that just popped in. Laguna Berry, American Truth Seeker, says, love Fugel fam and Dex and Adam and wives for putting up with them, LOL. I want to hear Laguna Berry in the mix tonight. I don't know. What is Laguna Berry? I hope I'm not saying something like it's a Pacific Islander like swear word or something. I would love to see that. I'm tapping out. Oh, good night, guys. Let's see here. NY Prepper says that all of Russia's doomsday. Yeah, he forgot his phone. 420. Yeah, he forgot his he forgot his piece, right? Somebody said all of doomsday planes are up in the air. I don't know if that's true. I would not doubt that, but I mean, is that out of the normal for them? I know that one of ours is always ready, or I know both. We have two of the main doomsday planes, and there's always two. If they run one, they run the other, right? One is a distraction because the president would sit on that. Before we move on, and I'll be going over and reading some of those in a second here, I do want to remind you, if you want to get your ducks in a row, we have a way to do that. marfugelnews.com/prep. We've partnered with My Patriot Supply. As Irish Rebel was saying earlier, a lot of these suppliers are going and they're running out of things. My Patriot Supply has still not let us know of anything that is severely out. But again, I think that is something that very well could happen. I don't think there is a company that is big enough to really get past if it really goes bad. So, there are still no shortages from My Patriot Supply. I would highly recommend going over there and checking out their full supply. This is a great company. It has long-term survival food, and then it have everything else. As far as the long-term survival food, it is actually tasty. It is good. You can get the actual buckets that are storable. It has a long shelf life, and it is simple and quick. As far as most of them, add water, you've got yourself a meal. Now, this is also, they still have the $150 off on a 3-month supply, which if you're talking about what is possible, that's actually probably about half of what you might need, right? So if you are trying to build up, you can get a smaller amount. Again, the discounts may not last. So again, go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. And then also, remember, you are supporting a channel and preparing at the same time. Thank you, everybody that goes over and does that. It helps us a whole lot. All right, and you get something out of it. It's not just, giving something for nothing. This is a way that you don't pay anything extra, and you are genuinely getting yourself prepared. And then we have President Putin arrests his own military chief for leaking as Russian army suffers heavy losses. So, Dex, do you think that this is this proof that something else was leaking there? We have the information that there was a leak about China. Well,
yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of interesting stories coming out of there, and it's really hard to tell what's real and what's not. I mean, we have to definitely take it with a grain of salt, sort of like we've heard about generals and other things. But if this is true and it's not out of character at all for Mr. P to take care of people that are against him or that do things that he doesn't like. We've seen that happen numerous times in the past. So it's within character for sure. I think we have to sort of watch how this story plays out and also pay attention to who's breaking the story. And if we actually see this on the other side of the information stream to see if it's really legit.
Yeah, I just wonder, I know that, but wonder if this is the timing of it. They say that he was arrested for leaking. What if that was related to the leak of, their plan to invade Taiwan in fall? Or is it all Ganda? I would question everything. Absolutely everything. Russian rulers warn President P will rise against you after they were made to do acts. I think this is complete Ganda. I don't even really want to read this, but this is, again, something that is coming out. I want to remind people that there are very specific tactics that major countries take in these kind of scenarios, and there is obviously, once you know the history of the country that is being run into, it's hard not to think that, there's a lot of money at play. Like a lot of money. It says that these soldiers, again, this is out of character, will rise against you after they were made to carry out these things. Everything you see is to guide you emotionally. And not carrying anybody's water or any of that crap, because I think, President P, he's an easy patsy because nobody does think he's a good guy. He's not a good guy. I think he would be very easy to pick out and say he's a horrific person, and people are like, yeah, well, it's kind of like picking out a giraffe and going, yeah, that guy's tall. It's kind of like, yeah, we all know he's tall. So what next, right? This is horrendous. I mean, specifically, there is just so much going out, and I don't know how anybody can look at one side without having another to even. How would they ban a whole side of information? I don't understand that. And then 100,000 U.S. service members in Europe amid the war. That's according to NATO secretary. So we have at least 100,000 over there, and I believe it's more. What is actually going to happen next, though? That is the question. There are 100,000 U.S. troops in Europe as of Thursday. And I wonder if they are counting, because Dex, didn't we have 90,000 there prior? We've already sent more than that. We've sent more than 10,000. We've sent 30,000, right?
Yeah, we had a lot there. I don't think the number was this high. And then again, this is only U.S. So you also have the rest of NATO, the troops they have, and then it's my understanding that some of these troops are still under U.S. Command, but some of these are now under NATO command. So I think there's like 40,000 of them that are being commanded by NATO. Remember when we talked about the ship that went under the command and that fleet that was over there? It went under command of NATO. So there's some small nuances here, but they are important nuances as to who's in charge and what decisions are being made with them and how they're going to be used.
I don't think this is going to be over anytime soon. I think that if the very least, if you are somebody who thinks that it is all theater, I know that part of that is right, guaranteed. That this is going to be a very long play. They're not going to let this go to waste. If there is something behind this, this is the big question in my mind: is what is actually behind it? Is there a massive catastrophic event that this is to get our minds off of what is coming? Is this power plays before that catastrophic event happens? Is something happening very soon that is so much more worse than WW3? Is there something that is behind it? That's my question. Now, it says 40,000 under direct command. Look at that. And then SpaceX tests fully stacked Starship. I put this in here again. We covered this last night. I asked Dex to add this because this is speeding up. As far as SpaceX this is the actual mission part of SpaceX, all of their Starlink stuff. This is the rocket that they would use for people and for massive amounts to cargo, and this is the ship that would go to Mars. So I should have brought this up in the beginning, but as far as they are basically getting the last steps done before they start doing human tests with this. And they say this same ship will basically spin around the moon with that Japanese tourist. Speaking of Japan, Japan spots 4 Russo warships carrying combat vehicles which may be headed to Cranium. It says Japan spots 4 amphibious ships laden with military trucks sailing west, possibly to Europe past its islands, as President P continues to suffer heavy losses in So, by the way, we don't know if they're really suffering all these losses. Nothing is public on that side, and nothing we have seen with our own eyes says that that is true. In fact, the stuff that is coming out, the stuff that is being played on Rumble, the actual videos show the opposite. I have to say, after seeing with my own eyes a bunch of videos of retreats on the opposite side than what they're telling you, it's kind of hard to say that this is happening. Maybe they are being, maybe they are losing a few, but I don't think they're making it like the highly underpowered and very outnumbered group of people is just doing this heroic job, and everybody is like a Navy SEAL, including the civilians. I don't think that that's how it's going, and I don't think personally my view is that there's a lot of really just weird stuff going on. So that's where I'll leave it. But these 4 ships are heading somewhere. So as we've called before, the 6 amphibious ships that are now pulling up outside of Maripol. That's not a good sign. So maybe everything was leading up to this. And then Russo warns the United States that we have the might to put you in your place. Scary words. It says Russo warned the United States on Thursday that had the might to put the world's preeminent superpower in its place, and accused the West of stoking a wild Russophobic plot to tear them apart. It says Dmitry Medvedev, who served as president from 2008 to 2012, is now deputy secretary of Russia's Security Council, said that the U.S. had stoked, quote, disgusting Russophobia in an attempt to force to its knees. Says, quote, it will not work. Rus has the might to put all of our brash enemies in their place. So as my sister said, she has a bad feeling that maybe they will get pushed beyond their line. And she actually mentioned that their weapon they say they have that can cause a 300-foot wave to wash over the United States. Will that happen? I don't know. But I think a lot of people have a bad feeling about this because they don't exactly believe everything that's going on. And they believe that maybe there is some sort of plan to get rid of a few of us, right? Who knows? And then, Dex, you want to talk about the, before we go to the last one here, which I believe is a story that actually could be used to try to start a direct conflict, the case of the apparently back from the Black Sea warship. This is another one.
Here we have, and this is, we've seen this with some of the stories, and mind you, just information coming out can oftentimes be incorrect and then get corrected later. But information coming out can also be gandized, to make up a word there, and be used in different ways to paint narratives. So what is happening here is we're now seeing an unscathed ship that apparently was recently said, taken out by the craniums, so to speak, right? But it wasn't. So that's sort of like everybody's going, okay, what's up with this? And it's sort of the fog of conflict, right? Of what's going on and what stories that are coming out are correct and which ones are not. Now this is being reported from a pretty reputable military news organization. They cover a lot of military news, and they've had a pretty good history of it, and they do pretty in-depth coverage. So I don't want to dismiss the author by any means, but at the same time they're pointing out sort of the obvious, like, hey, we were told this thing was taken out, and now here it is, floating, and it looks like it's in great shape.
That's kind of like somebody showing up to a party like, I just beat that mofo up. Oh, you should have seen the other guy. He was on the ground. He was just begging for it. And then the guy shows up walking up behind with 2 6-packs of beer like, what? Who got beat up? What? And then they go head to head. First of all, there have been a lot of pro stories like the Snake Island. There's just been story after story after story, which a few days later we find out it was completely falsified. There is actually some really, I forget what her name is. She is all over Rumble, and she is doing an amazing job. She put together every last one of the examples that was used and ended up being from a video game or from something else. So just be aware that a lot of these things, they even told us that the U.S. is actually working directly with TikTok to put out certain messages. And it's like, wake up, people. This is not... It's kind of like, let's just use this for example. Peer pressure, right? You think everybody else out there is thinking one thing, but they're not. Everybody is actually thinking what you're thinking, but you're afraid to say anything because you don't want to get canceled. And now people say cancel culture isn't real. Cancel culture is 100% real. And we're talking about it in every asset of life now. If you say the wrong thing, if you speak your mind on something, you will get canceled. It does, and by the way, they have made you absolutely sure of yourself that, hey, you might not get canceled now. You might get canceled 12 years in the future. You might tweet something now that will lose your job 10 years in advance. Everyone is afraid to speak their mind right now. We want to make sure we keep this platform and still be able to reach people. But at the same time, I want you guys to know, we need to open up another thing somewhere else because there's some stuff out there I'm pretty sick of seeing. Steve-O, 1966. Man, if that was the real Steve-O, that would be nuts. Steve-O, what's going on? Welcome. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. This is yet another instance of that. And then U.S. taken out in Ukraine as Shell Chermonov. Now, they said that he was taken out with a long, like, out of the movie. Out of those long-range weaponos. It says that he was in line for bread. It says amid reports of a heavy artillery on civilians, it says we can confirm that of a U.S. citizen on Ukraine March 17th. So wait a second. Dex, has this changed? Is this changed?
No, there's a couple of stories, and it depends on who you read. One is saying that was done because of shelling, and others are saying it was, like you said, from a distance. But it's the same name in both stories. So
what? This is what I'm talking about. Okay, so you know what's funny is the one that I actually loaded was the in line for bread.
And by the way, I think that it may be that the information has been updated because the article that we're showing, if you click through,
it's the same one.
Updated article, it talks about the from a distance, right? So it's like they've updated it.
Maybe this is older.
And this was the older version when it first came out, is what I'm thinking. But it's but of all the people that have carried the story, it's always been about Jimmy Hill. And it's either been because of shelling or because of, this long range that happened that they're suggesting, right?
But if somebody that's new is like, what are these people talking about?
These guys are crazy. What are they talking about?
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Maybe we should get out the, what do you call it? What the are they talking about? Yeah. What the? Okay.
So apparently and I'm reading from the updated article that the family member, Marf, the family member came out and said they were, from a distance, and that's what they were, and they were waiting in line for bread, and that's what happened to them.
Yeah. We got to censor bread now too. So the story here is that the guy was trapped, and this one does not have it. So I don't know why the current one didn't load, but it shows.
But the one on our website does. So if you click through, you'll see the updated article.
Can you? Since you're there, can you read the posts that he said that he? So they added his social media posts, and his post essentially said, "I want to get out of here. It's really bad. There's no food. It's very cold inside." It says all this, and that it basically makes you feel like, oh my gosh, these people were trapped there. By the way, most of these people were given just a plethora of time to get the hell out. I don't know. They're still able to get out of many of these places. They said that he went there for treatment for MS. But then there was conflicting information saying that it was for something else. So I don't know we don't know. We'll wait to say anything about that.
Well, and I also understand that had been there for many years as a teacher too. That's the other part of the story I'm reading too.
So was he there to receive treatment or to find a special doctor, or was he there years as a teacher, or both?
I think he became romantically involved, and the person who was involved with was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So that may be the part that you're talking about.
And they said that they found a possible treatment or something that was
right.
cheaper.
They were in the hospital. Yeah, they were in the hospital when the conflict broke out, and he made a decision to stay.
Okay, so he made the decision, but now it is a U.S. citizen, now updated to getting in the head, right? With us, rifle, and he was in line to get bread. I mean, is this a scene out of Schindler's List or something? Like, what the hell? So that, by the way, if you purposely, I don't see them doing this. Why would they be taking people out in a bread line? This isn't a military line. It was people waiting for bread. That's like, that emotionally makes anybody, they're like, hey, if they're really taking people out just trying to get their bread for the day, their bread ration, oh, they're horrific. But is that what happened? That doesn't even sound like, that doesn't even sound like NK, Maybe NK would do, Kim would do that. I don't even think they would do that, right? They would probably say, hey, let's capture them because they look like good workers or something. I don't know. It doesn't seem, that sounds insane. Why would they just be randomly doing that? Is it because they're losing so bad they just got to just take out civilians too now? I don't understand it. So lots and lots going, so much wrong with what is happening right now. All right, if you haven't already, make sure to go over and check out Energy. This is highly recommended. Go over and look at their solar energy generators. As far as if you do not have a generator and you know about all of the risks that we are facing, I would highly recommend getting a solar one because a solar generator is silent. The Flex 1500 is what is running this show. All of our power bars, my router, my lights, all of my music equipment, everything is running on one Flex 1500 and one battery. Remember, this is expandable up to 96 batteries. So you can turn this into a whole wall of batteries that could power a mansion. It just depends on what you need it for. Or you could have just the main base unit that is extremely portable. It is, again, small as far as comparably, and it charges incredibly fast. It can run all of your stuff and do it silently. If you have a gas-powered generator, that's awesome, but just think about it when everything hits the fan, how many other people are going to be listening for houses that have that generator. People are going to be desperate. If it does get as bad as many think it is, then you definitely don't want to be the one with a loud motor in your backyard running. So, and also, gas is going to get absolutely insane. Gas-powered generators, they are great because as long as you have gas, you have power. But is gas really going to be that readily available when everything goes down? MarfoogleNews.com/energy, as long as you have solar panels, which they're actual portable ones that fold up, are absolutely amazing. But you don't have to buy their proprietary ones. You can get the ones from Amazon. You can get them from eBay. But I will say, now that I've seen the ones from them and touched them and held them, they are freaking amazing. All right, and then I would love to do some sort of review on their actual solar panels. They're great. Go check them out, MarfoogleNews.com/energy. You do have to get on the list to get these, so get them as soon as possible. All right, and then, Dex, let's go over the web only. You got some stuff there, and quickly go over kind of what we have there.
Absolutely. So lots happening over on marfooglenews.com. So just remember, for those of you who have heard this before, no problem. But for the new folks here, every one of these big long format shows we have a lot of content that we can't necessarily cover on the show. Maybe it's too hot for TV. It's too far to one side. People may be getting, in trouble for going that direction. So we just try to get a lot of that additional content and we put it together for you on our website. So go to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for today's show, scroll down, and you will find web only content. That's where everything is. So really easy to get to. If you're on YouTube, open the description, click on the link that says show notes. Lots of things happening. Yet again, another clash on Fox. I think they love to get into it with people on that channel. So for its entertainment value, it is there with Tucker. More things going on with the administration's family. And someone we talked about earlier, not tonight, but in earlier shows, who was going to jail is now out of jail. Go find out who that is. And then one of my favorite restaurants is actually being considered they're considering declaring it a public nuisance. That would be Chick-fil-A, and it's in California. So go get the rest of that story if you're curious what's going on. Plenty of other topics here, even some names that we dare not talk about, but everybody knows who I'm talking about that begins with an S is in here. Lots happening. Go check it out, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for today's show. Scroll down to that web-only content. If you missed yesterday's, click yesterday's show. Scroll down and find out what you're missing. We take the time to put it there for you. Really easy to get to. And again, on YouTube, open that description, click the show notes link. And by the way, don't forget the EMP contest. It is on this page right below all the news. That's where you can enter. So if you want to enter to win an EMP shield, this is your chance. Only a few days left, probably about 7, I'm thinking. You have multiple ways to enter, and you can do daily entries. So you've got many chances. You still have more than one chance right now. So make use of it between now and the end of the contest.
Thank you, Dex. And looks like we lost about 800 of you. So I hope that most of you had gotten all of that information. Make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com. Over on the right, you can find any of the affiliates we spoke of tonight. And then thank you for the support, Stephen McMahon. Bobby of Joy. Stephen McMahon said the Army had the internet in 1963. It had been made public. No NAM conflict. Thank God for the internet. We all have this info, even with the Ganda. Yeah, I'm happy to have it rather than not. We're adults. We should be able to be given all information and be able to decipher it for ourselves. Think about this. When they silence people, when they say you can't listen to that, you can't do that, you ban everything, they're basically saying, hey, you're too stupid for us to allow this information out because you're just going to consume it and think things. And we don't want you to think things outside of our think things. So go think things somewhere else. Make sure to get a VPN. That's why we have Nord, is so you can get outside of that loop. James Fox, thank you. Ariel the Wrestling Mermaid, happy 50th birthday, Mike. I love you. Well, I love you too, but I'm not, you know what I mean. We need a Marfoogle dictionary. Love y'all. And actually, we've talked about it, having a filter word kind of page that you guys can go to. That's a thought. MD, Pro Stories made possible by Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. We need to repeal this somehow so they can use pro on us openly. So they can use pro on yes, yeah, they made it legal to do this, right? A closed mind cannot learn anything new. It is therefore essential that we open our minds to new ideas, even ones that we do not agree with. I agree with you, Yellow Brick Road. And then Laguna Berry, everybody else, Carol McLean, Marf, you're doing this right. Real news, references, and some humor. We all need this. Much love. Nana of Montana, research edible plants in your area. Ninja Squirrel, thank you. Tassie Devil, Christina Marticchio, thank you, everybody. It is now time for the shoutro. Eyes open. The world is not our home, though. Lamps should be filled with oil. We need to do what we can do. Kokomo Joe, I love you. Bro, have a good night. It's now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. I appreciate you, Zippy Moons, T-Man Red Pill. Thank you for the Ninja Genie, and we will make sure to figure that out. Please email me with your screen name in the subject. I see second of the E4's daily outfit, AFB, Stratcom bases with the BASC, A-Pain, Chewy Weather, and the Mrs. Payne. Bear Claws, Island by the Sea, release the Quackin' and Mr. D. End Times with 3Z, and everybody knows the T-Man, the Red Pill C. Wine and the WIS and the Whitetail 7. Sean Samuel, everybody go heaven. Enigma, yeah, I'm pretty. Everybody walk out. Hey, everybody know. The flow is Baco. Baco, Baco, hey, Baco, Baco. They know something's gonna happen. Asteroid, comes in crashing. Number one, Marvin Fun Time in the Tiffany. John Jay and Symphony. Hey, Rachel S. and Dan Tom. Song Smith, I for one. Oh no, live in fear. I know I do here. And I'm Trucker JP, and I'm here at Quad River Freedom Home Homestead. According to me, and everybody there who would fade away. And then the ball mount there with the claw there. Malice Speeder, and Peter with his shell back. And I'm Peter. And everybody knows Cedar. Pour down with bad parody. Asteroid comes in back to head.
Ebenezer stone and we walk alone. Ebenezer stone and we walk with phones. Ebenezer stone and we walk alone. Ebenezer stone and we walk with phones. Ebenezer stone and we walk alone. Ebenezer stone and we walk with
Lisa, did you make 1,000? Let's go look at Lisa R. Hall. Whoa, wait, what? Our city just lost power? Okay, are you in a small city? Let's see here. Let's see here. $606, not 666, but 606 subscribers. Guys, make sure to go over and get Lisa R. Hall to 1,000. Love Mob Time.